Folks, as you know, we are starting to finally get some wins in these swing states. I'm talking about Pennsylvania last week, Wisconsin today. What's happening is more and more legislation is being thrown at these states. People are getting activated. We've seen the evidence of the way they treated us in the 2020, and we have the evidence. Now we have to get the cases to be able to present the evidence in order to prevent this type of stuff happening again. I'm talking about preventing drop boxes in certain states already happening. I'm talking about kicking Zuckerbuck money out of the election in Wisconsin happening today, or happened yesterday. And in Pennsylvania this week, or last week, we learned that you will no longer be able to just show up with a ballot that has no post date on it or has not been run through the mail system yet with proper dating on it. Meaning you can't mail in your vote late, and you will not be able to have a diesel trailer full of, or a van full of ballots show up that haven't actually been run through the mail system. Won't work this time. That's how they beat us up in Pennsylvania, one of the many ways. They beat us up at the old folks' home by getting 95 and 100% turnout at those places. We know what they were doing. They were muling those things. And Maryland and Connecticut are both working on legislation to try to shore up their elections as well. We have got several states that are doing their damnedest to kick ERIC out of their states. If you don't know what ERIC is, it is the voter registration system that is supposed to be cleaning up the voter rolls, but it's just another place to find dead voters for the Democrats. I said it, folks. That's what I'm talking about. That's absolute truth. But let me go ahead and read this story. Got my goggles on for you. This is a short piece of information here, but it's good information. It's another win for us, folks. Not only is Trump surging in the polls, unstoppable in his legal situation, but he's reaching the American people. People are turning their back on Joe Biden each and every day. The Muslims, the Christians, the blacks, the Latinos, the people with common sense in this country, the people that are tired of paying their bills at 3 times the rate they were paying them just 3 short years ago. People are waking up, folks. There's no doubt about it. I see it each and every day. I just hope everybody shows up and votes, because people are working hard in states like Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and Minnesota, trying to change the rules back to where they should be. No more drop boxes, no invalid IDs, none of this no voter ID garbage. We got to stop it, and one of the ways to stop it is stopping the Zuckerbucks or anybody like Zuckerbuck, Sam Bankman-Fried types from just overloading the system with so much money that people are coerced into doing nefarious things in the election process. We know what happens, folks. But at any rate, let me go ahead and read you a little bit about what is going on in the great state of Wisconsin. This is a pure win, folks. It says Wisconsin voters approved a ban on private money in elections on Tuesday night. We're talking about Zuckerbucks. The voters approved a constitutional amendment brought forth by Republicans in a reaction to Zuckerberg's money used in the Wisconsin 2020. In 2020, Wisconsin rolled out a mobile home voting station on wheels paid for exclusively by Mark Zuckerberg. So Zuckerberg's at work at 91 nursing homes, 5 Wisconsin cities. He had 95 to 100% voter turnout, meaning they targeted those areas. And whether the people were conscious, asleep, awake, no longer residents, if they got a ballot mailed to them at these old folks' homes, you see who got it. You see, I don't know how the process actually turned out. Maybe somebody was stealing from mailboxes, but one way or another, 95 to 100% of no particular residence is ever going to vote for one candidate. That's just statistically impossible. But at any rate, the Zuckerbucks' money was also allegedly used to sway the election from elderly Americans in nursing homes. Very disgusting situation it was. I think about half the country was mad about it. The other half of the country was scratching their head trying to figure out what just happened to us all. It says private money to fund elections will be banned and no longer available to be used in this process. It says after Wisconsin voters Tuesday approved a constitutional amendment put forward by Republicans in reaction to grants received in 2020 that were funded by donations from Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg. as Mike Lindell calls him. Also on Tuesday, Democratic President Joe Biden and Republican former President Donald Trump, both already their party's presumptive nominees, won the Wisconsin primary. Voters also approved a second question put on the ballot by the Republicans-controlled legislature that amends the Constitution to say that only election officials can administer elections. That's already state law. By putting it into the Constitution makes it more difficult to repeal it or change it. Sounds like a great plan to me, folks. The Wisconsin Republican Party held approval of the amendments. Wisconsin has spoken, and the message is clear: elections belong to the voters, not out of state billionaires, said state GOP Chairman Brian Schimming in a statement. It's good news, folks. Pennsylvania last week, shoring up the if it's going to go through the mail, it's got to be post-dated. It's got to be dated right. If it's not dated, it's not going to work. It's not going to fly. And what we see here, as of yesterday, it's happening, folks. And I see a lot more of these type wins happening because we have legislation in many states hitting different counties, hitting different jurisdictions on the way that things were handled in 2020 with the evidence that is available to prove that. Makes it pretty easy to be able to present a case that we need to change the rules back to the way they were before the pandemic rules and the Zuckerbucks rules and the crooked Mark Elias Democrat lawyer rule change through legislative attempts. It's a crying shame, folks. I don't believe they're going to be able to do it this way this time. There are so many ways they try to cheat the process, but I see each and every day that Republicans are doing more and more to try to shore up the process. And Laura Trump taking over the RNC and Mr. Whiteley versus Ronna McDaniels, that's going to make a huge difference too, folks. Let's go ahead and get into this other clip for you, folks, or otherwise I'll talk your ear off all day about the selection processes, because that is what really bothers me most about this country. Even more than the border and the crimes, is the fact that if you don't have fair elections, you'll never have a better system. That's why it matters so much for everybody to get out and vote. Now, this is about as par for the course as any case that we've seen against Trump. It seems like every one of these, Alvin Bragg, the Stormy Daniels case, Big Fannie Willis case, we're starting to, Letitia James, we're starting to see more and more of these cases are falling apart. And not just falling apart because Trump has a good defense, but because these people are paid by the White House to prosecute Trump, and that information's coming out. And it looks like we found out, as of yesterday, I found out on Benny Johnson. He's got a great monologue about this if you want to go check him out. But as of today, or I guess it was last night, Jesse Waters revealed a little bit about this as well. I'm talking about the multi-million-dollar perks going to Judge Merchan's family member. I'm talking about his daughter. These people are actually benefiting off prosecuting Trump, and they're trying to benefit off prosecuting Trump, especially if they get a conviction. And this episode of Jesse Waters gets into it a little bit more. This involves the hush money case, and I don't know why they call it a hush money case. It was Michael Cohen is the one that spent the money. It looks like at this point he was probably having an arrangement of his own with Miss Stormy Daniels that had very little to do with Trump, and so who really knows what the truth of that whole situation is? But they definitely spun it to try to make Trump look like the bad guy. There's no doubt about that. But let me read you a little bit about this Judge Merchan, if y'all haven't been keeping up. It says, Jesse Waters ran a devastating segment last night on a radical judge, Juan Merchan, who silenced President Trump, put a gag order on him from talking about his family financial ties to the current junk case. Meaning you're not allowed to talk about me or my daughter's windfall from being a staunch Democrat activist. Says he is presiding over, the case he is presiding over against Donald Trump in New York City. Judge Merchan should be impeached for this lawlessness. This is a peak of corruption and should not stand. Jesse Waters says Judge Juan Mercaron, who is presiding over Trump's so-called hush money case in New York, slapped an even bigger gag order on the former President Trump last night. Trump is banned from talking about the judge's family. And let's go ahead and get into it. I don't want to spill the beans here, but pretty crazy. Stormy Daniels can go out there and get on CNN or any of these stations. The lawyers for the left can get out there and spill their lies. Trump's not even allowed to defend himself. It just doesn't even make any sense to me, folks. It's as crazy as it gets. Let's go ahead and jump right into it.
Judge Juan Merchan, who's presiding over Trump's so-called hush money case in New York, slapped an even bigger gag order on the former president last night. Trump is banned from talking about the judge's family. Why? Because the judge's family was paid by the Biden campaign. The judge's family is currently being paid by Adam Schiff, over $10 million. Adam Schiff, this is the guy who conspired with Michael Cohen, the star witness in this case. Trump isn't allowed to say that the judge's daughter is a Democrat consultant whose clients, the Biden campaign, Adam Schiff, are fundraising off Trump's indictment. The judge's family is getting rich off Trump trials, and he's presiding over one. And if Trump's convicted, his family financially benefits. And instead of recusing because of a glaring conflict of interest, the judge is gagging Trump for pointing out the conflict of interest. Even Michael Avenatti says it's nuts. The lawyer tweeting this from prison: "We can't be hypocrites when it comes to the First Amendment. It's outrageous that Cohen and Daniels can do countless TV interviews, post on social, and make money on bogus documentaries, all by talking ish about Trump. But he's gagged and threatened with jail if he responds. The judge is threatening to put Trump in jail for pointing out that his liberal family's getting rich off this trial, and richer if he's convicted." Now, the media, who doesn't support the First Amendment or care about corruption, covers it this way.
The judge overseeing Donald Trump's hush money trial just expanded a gag order forbidding the defendant and former president from attacking his own family.
He doesn't just take his right to due process. He smears the judge. He harasses the judge's daughter.
President Trump, our former chief executive, is using the bully pulpit that comes with being a former president to put people in grave danger, quite apart from his attacks on the judge's daughter, which are totally uncalled for.
The judge's daughter isn't 7. She's 34. He's not attacking her. He's just saying what she does for a living. How's that an attack? He just wants a new judge, one whose family isn't funded by Democrats. Ned Ryan is the founder of American Majority. Is that too much to ask?
It's really not, Jesse. It's pretty appalling. This feels like a turning point in all of this lawfare against Trump. With this case, the left is dropping any pretense, doesn't seem to care at all about having any pretense of legitimacy with the greater public. It's the gloves are off. It's bare knuckles now. A leftist judge with a case that was not taken up by the Southern District of New York, Bragg's predecessor, a case that should never have been brought. He's presiding over it. Trump simply points out his daughter, the conflict of interest with his daughter, who, by the way, it's $93 million in solicitations raised on this specific case. Oh. And all Trump did was point out these facts. And instead of recusing himself, the judge goes, "You need to shut up." And the corporate propagandists, with their Circus Seal Act, obediently rise to the occasion and say Trump's attacking the daughter. No, he's just pointing out facts. I mean, Jesse, this is a gross, the attack on Trump's constitutional rights to defend himself, the abuse of the law, the legal system on Trump. I have to tell you, the Democrats, the left, have made a massive bet on all of this lawfare that some of it will take Trump out. I'm making a bet that this lawfare is going to blow up in their face. When things like this really break in on the normies that are watching this, they're going to realize the gross abuse of power that the left is actually doing to try and bring down Trump, because Orange Man bad. And anything, anywhere, anytime is acceptable because Orange Man bad.
Now, folks, let me let you know, I listened to a lot more information about this on Benny Johnson's show. He was talking about how Adam Schiff worked closely with this judge's daughter. She is a political activist. Adam Schiff personally, through the company that she works for, this promotional company, Adam Schiff has personally given $4 million, done $4 million worth of business with the daughter of the judge, Miss Mercheron, and also she was one of Kamala Harris's campaign, helped run Kamala Harris's campaign during the 2020. So this lady is deep blue Democrat donor, activist, taking money, making money with Adam Schiff, and has been involved in this whole hate on Trump process since the beginning. As a matter of fact, her X, or should I say Twitter? Still call it Twitter. Logo on her feed for her own personal icon is Trump behind bars. If that doesn't say it, nothing does. This is definitely a conflict of interest. This judge should recuse himself, but truth be known, they probably handpicked this judge due to the fact that his daughter was already closely involved with the very people that have been lying about Trump since day one. That's all I got for you folks. Everybody have a great day. Tell me what you think about this crap as to what's going on. Like I said, Benny Johnson had a monologue about this on his live feed on YouTube here. Go check it out. A little more informative than Jesse Waters explains the breakdown a little bit better as far as how Adam Schiff and the Democrat Party are paying these activists. Over and out, folks. Have a good one.